to love me harder.
Yes, I believe in eternal love. I love love, that's why I wanted to do the film.
How many people have you loved?
For me, it's like the love that you dream of when you're 14 years old. How lovely to have somebody go into the depths of hell to save you. Like, I should be so lucky.
Everyone has experienced both the incredible high of love and then the incredible low of grief.
I think this movie is really, truly about loss.
What would you give to bring that person back?
Don't leave me.
When someone you love dies, you will know what it is to be completely and utterly alone.
The Crow carries the importance of loss and grief and love.
What is love? What is it? Is it something that lasts beyond? People seem to be so overwrought by it.
You will never forget, and you will never, ever forgive.
I love you forever.
It's a bit of a rare breed, The Crow, because it had tried to be made many times and never quite got to fruition.
I was tracking this project for many years and the many iterations of it. I found out the rights had become available, got them, and everybody was very excited when we had the chance to get it made, finally.
It felt like Molly was Atlas with the world on her back when it came to making this movie. I mean, this is a project that has had so many starts and stops, and for a producer to come in, bring everything together, and make all the pieces fit, I think it's nothing short of a miracle what she did bringing this film to life. The horse and the barbed wire, it's a really evocative image. You read the book and it stays with you. Everything that that character goes through in his past life is kind of emblematic of this imagery.
At the heart of this picture is grief. When we bought this movie, we bought a different version of it out of relativity with Samuel, Victor's brother, and my partner, and we wanted something that was new and imaginative. And then we lost Samuel about 2 years into owning the project. And we decided at that point that we were going to let go of the previous ideas and the previous script and start over and deal with what it means to lose somebody you love. You know, there's not a day that passes when you lose somebody like that where you don't think about them. That's when we started over, and that's when we found Rupert Sanders. Victor, John, and I decided we were going to make this project for Samuel, and I think that that's definitely honoring what happened in both the graphic novel and in the original movie. It's got a unique energy, this property. From the very beginning, it was born of loss.
James O'Barr's comic, it was based off of having lost someone. And his way of dealing with that loss was through this comic book. And that becomes kind of this revenge fantasy if you only had the chance to make it all right.
James's graphic novel is incredibly visceral and has a really youth culture love story to it. James describes it as a Cure song. The Cure is a band that's close to my heart that I grew up listening to, and there is something very true about that. It's something about the melancholy of the graphic novel he created, and also the desire to kind of exist within that melancholy in not a sad way, but in a kind of optimistic way. That's what really attracted me to it. There's a dark sadness to The Crow that feels so emotionally tragic.
I grew up with the original, The Crow, with Brandon Lee. I saw it, I was a huge fan of it as a kid growing up.
I'd watched it many years ago, but I re-watched it when Rupert wanted to meet me, and I was quite inspired for this.
I was pretty young when the first Crow came out, but the original Crow was a masterpiece. It became part of the zeitgeist.
The film is marked by the terrible tragedy of Brandon Lee's passing during production, and that was obviously very present through so much of the path to making this film. No one really thinks about The Crow without thinking about Brandon Lee. He was iconic in the role. He did an exceptional job in bringing Eric to life. We're not trying to make another Brandon Lee movie. We are making a Crow movie that holds that in high regard. James O'Barr's graphic novel spawned 4 other movies and a TV series, and I think they all lead back to James's work. Obviously, they're all interpretations done by different authored voices, different actors. Our film is very different to the graphic novel, but very close in its DNA. The same themes for that generation are the same for this generation, just the language needs to be modern. It needs to speak to the kids who are now 17, 18, 19. To me, it's like, how do you retell a story for this generation?
I think we fucking did it!
How my vision appears on the screen is my telling of that story.
Then just come this way, Robert. 1 foot between you.
It's like if I was going to make a Shakespeare piece, if I was going to make Romeo and Juliet, I'd want to do it in a way that felt unique to me, but also honoring the source material.
It was like a very daunting task to be asked to do a reimagination of an iconic character. I've done that before. And it was a heavy performance, I think, for me to do as well. There's not a lot of levity to it from Eric's perspective, you know. But really what drew me to it was what Rupert wanted to do with it. You know, I felt like there wasn't a need to remake what had already been done, and Rupert wanted to completely reimagine the story and the character. So this could be for the kids of today. Eric and Shelly are the lovers of the misfits. This is their story.
The idea that Rupert was going to take this revenge story, but really wanted the love story to sort of shine, that was the most exciting part for me. I loved making it a movie about Eric and Shelly.
I wanted to really invest the audience in that love in order to understand what people will do when that is taken from them. I think it's hard to buy into a revenge story when you haven't really experienced the feeling of love.
How many people have you loved? Like, seriously, seriously loved? Me neither.
Every day, Rupert had a new idea, and you had to try to figure out how to fit it into the ideas that already existed.
Very well. The process with a writer is I go in with feelings and images, and then it's how do you put that onto the page really to make cohesive sense. And I think that was kind of a journey of a lot of conversation, a lot of exploration.
We hired Zach out of the gate, and of course he had to take Rupert's massive imagination and pare it down into one story that we could tell.
A big part of the development was like, how do you balance a film? Essentially, it's 2 movies together. It's a love story and then it's revenge.
I'm a friend of your daughter's. We need to talk.
And then, sadly, Zach left to do another movie.
Will, bless his soul, came in to help us. Basically, we had him working full-time every day.
So we were like writing and shooting, which is not the best way to do things, but I think the film kind of found its story as we shot it, which is kind of interesting. Maybe one look behind, and then you're in the car, and then obviously Eric arrives. Yeah. All right, let's try one.
It felt like difficult work. It was challenging, but it really felt like we were doing something special, something different, and something unique.
So you want a tongue in?
Yes, please.
Can we have a tongue in?
What happened to my romantic movie, Debs? It's really gone off the rails this week. All that kissing in the bloody lake.
Yeah.
Maybe it needs to come down behind the ear a little bit.
In order to really get under the skin of a story and give, 3 or 4 years of your life, live and breathe it every second, every hour, and then drag lots of people in on this pilgrimage.
How are your lights doing in the back?
You have to be so obsessed with it. You have to be so connected with it. You have to birth it. And it's a long and painful but thrilling and exciting process.
Ready? And action.